It's like everyone's reposting Giggs' album every day, like he needs you to repost it, but you won't repost your boy that's making music beside you. You know what I mean? Similarly to podcasts and things like that. You know, people.
Hi guys, welcome back to the DAMIHOW podcast. I'm Dami.
I'm Teo.
I'm Mark.
Nah, this girl's having a moment.
Do you know what? I'm thinking of like 100 things in my head right now, and I don't know why.
Nah,
but that's cool. Anyways,
talk to us, Mark. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Mark, entrepreneur, founder. So I've got 2 businesses.
Yeah.
So I've got YFitWear, which is the sportswear, which I've been doing for 6 years.
Okay.
And
6 years.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's been
time
a minute.
flies, man.
It's been a minute.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. That's well done though.
Thank you. Yeah. And then I've got FitForTheCulture, which I've been doing for 5 years.
Okay, so you did a YFit first and then FitForTheCulture.
Yeah. So even just the story of that is really interesting because initially I wasn't sort of planning to start FitForTheCulture, which is basically it's a online motivational platform dedicated to showcasing people of colour within sort of fitness and sport. So it was about a year into doing YFit. I was getting a lot of messages from like black fitness influencers, creators, trainers.
That wanted like post their stuff up.
Yeah, so because my background is more in sport and football, working in sport and working in football. So I didn't really understand like the whole Instagram and fitness influencers.
Fair enough.
So when they were approaching me, this is with YFit, barely maybe a couple hundred followers at a time, but I was getting a lot of messages. Thinking, right,
what was it they wanted? Just for you to repost their stuff or like to send them
just
stuff?
like sponsorship. So sponsorship. They wanted, I guess, exposure, which that's
the
was
term that everyone uses.
Yeah, which was kind of the thing. And I was kind of surprised because I was thinking, right, my brand is not that new, not that big yet, but
just kind of taking off.
Yeah, but what it was is that it kind of made me sort of analyze why they were approaching me, because at the time they were like they wanted free product and all that kind of stuff, and I was small, so I couldn't really
afford to be giving out stuff like
that. So it was one where I was just like, okay, let me look at sort of the fitness scope of things, and bear in mind, this is 5+ years ago.
It's a completely different time to now, innit?
There wasn't a lot of representation. So when I looked at, I want the names, but I looked at sort of the big brands that were doing well at the time. There was no diversity, there was no inclusion, there was no representation. So that's what made sense. It was like, okay, they've seen that this is a diverse founded brand, and they wanted to sort of be a part of something, because a lot of the brands or the big brands at the time weren't showcasing people of color, black people.
I know it's an easy question, but I was gonna say like, so why didn't you just incorporate that into the YFit page at first?
It was. So that's why they were approaching me, because they were seeing, oh wow, this is a page that their representation is there. You know what I mean? But as I said, like this is at the very beginning. So I couldn't do a lot with what people, you know what I mean, the amount of requests that I was getting.
So that's why it diverted to FitForTheCulture.
So that's why I thought, okay, let me create a separate platform to uplift them, because they wanted exposure, they wanted awareness, they wanted
basically just giving it to them.
So that's how I kind of FitForTheCulture was born.
So obviously, naturally, you make FitForTheCulture, you put 1 or 2 posts up there, you probably repost it through YFit to get some interest back into the page and whatnot. But then, like, how do the numbers just start growing, basically?
So I guess like with FitForTheCulture, I guess the premise of it was sort of twofold. So it was utilizing like popular culture and popular figures, just in terms of, so what I was doing at the beginning was posting different celebrities working out.
Okay, cool.
And then the second part of it is the community building. So I was actually saying to people like, okay, if you're into fitness,
send me stuff.
Tag our page, and I'll repost it. So, which is kind of how it runs to this day. You know what I mean?
And then even just starting the page, was it like from scratch, or was it kind of like an Instagram, that page that already existed that was then rebranded to literally from scratch? Zero. That is crazy. Because
I've still like got screenshots of like my first couple posts. So the first post I ever did was Colin Kaepernick. So it was just like, it was always about representation and just, I guess.
Who was that? Was that
Colin Kaepernick? So the NFL player that took the knee.
Okay.
Yeah, and I remember that post got like 3 likes. You know what I mean? And then I started posting other different people. So, you know what I mean? Whether it's like Serena Williams or LeBron James. So it's just like that, because I always feel like with people, especially human behavior, they only kind of want to tune in at first for things that they're already familiar with. So that's why I was just like, when building a brand, I'm sure you know that people at the beginning, they don't care.
Until they see someone that's like, oh, okay, this person, okay, that must mean, they got something
like
to them.
More representation.
Exactly.
But a bit more, and then they get way more involved in it.
So that's kind of the premise of building Fit for the Culture. So it's like, okay, post people that people already know. And workouts that they could then incorporate themselves, but then also like get people to tag the page, get people to use hashtag Fit for the Culture, because I think like the name is the key thing in terms of with that, because it kind of speaks for itself.
How did you even come up with the name as well?
I don't know. I mean, these things just come. They just come to you. So it's just like I was just thinking, okay, Fit for the Culture.
Is that the same with Why Fit? The name just kind of just.
Even with that. So I grew up wanting to be a footballer. I played semi-pro for a number of years.
Yaya Toure.
Maybe not the Yaya Toure, but definitely like Ian Wright, Rio Ferdinand, those kind of guys. But it's interesting because I had like health challenges as an adult, and that kind of reset my whole mentality.
Cool. Because
it was one where I had the talent, but I didn't have the work ethic. And it's because I didn't have my why or my purpose. So that's actually why I called it Why Fit. So it's just like a visual reminder for myself.
That's a good story.
Visual reminder for myself to remember why I do, because I think that's such a key thing.
You know what I mean? With both of them, Why Fit and Fit for the Culture, in the beginning, was it just you?
Yeah, still was just me.
Still just you?
Yeah. Obviously, I work with a lot of different people, but I haven't employed anyone yet. So that's definitely the plan for next year.
How have you felt? I mean, you've had 6 years, 2 different businesses. How's that process been for you on your own?
It's hard, but
if you can redo it with help or by yourself, what would you choose? Still
by myself.
Fair.
Yeah, up to this point.
Why?
Because I would say one of my favorite things is the creative freedom and then the peace of mind, because you decide, you know what I mean? You create your environment, you decide who you want to collaborate with.
Do you not feel like if you had another you, when I say you, I mean same kind of mentality, perspective or whatever, then they can help you, even if you disagree with stuff, that person could have potentially helped you double the value in the same amount of time.
I think that's where I am now. Cool. You know what I mean? Because I also feel like a lot of people tend to rush the process or trying to be successful quick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you don't want to then compromise certain things or jump into things that don't align with who you are.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I feel like especially when you're starting a brand, you gotta be able to establish things first on your own, make mistakes on your own, do things on your own until you get to a point where you know exactly what you want. Because I feel like in the beginning you know what you want, but you're not 100%. Someone's ideas or opinions can influence you. So you want to get to a point where you've built stuff and you've made mistakes and you've learned from it, you know what next. So then you get to a point okay, cool, I'm ready for someone else to come in and kind of join me in this thing. But them joining, it's not obviously they can inspire you, but you still have your grounded values and how you want things to kind of be laid, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100% agree. Because I think especially with business, it's almost like a lot, the term, it's like having a baby.
Yeah.
So when you have a newborn, you need to get to know the baby, you know what I mean? So you wouldn't just hand over the baby.
Yeah.
And because even if you hand it over to a babysitter, but you barely know the baby, you then wouldn't be able to communicate to the babysitter, okay, needs to go to bed at this time, this is like this, you know what I mean? So that's why I think it's good to sort of understand even just all elements of the business. And for me, it was never a case of coming into it for fame or money or, you know what I mean? It's me, I just love the process of building a business.
Yeah.
With money being said, right now with Fit for Culture in particular, how does that work in terms of business for you?
So yeah, as I was saying off mic before, it's it would accidentally turn into a business. So obviously the numbers grew. So over it took about 6 months to get to 10K followers.
Were you on that?
330 or so.
Thinking of that number is insane.
A big number.
It's crazy. I feel like sometimes you don't because you kind of see it so you don't realize how many people that is. It's mad.
Separately, a random one, innit? So me and my friend were talking about Cristiano will post now, 20 million likes.
Yeah.
His phone will be dinging off. What's your phone like? Is it dinging?
I don't have notifications on. So.
Oh yeah, I figured that. So they were saying either no notifications are on or you got 2 phones. And obviously one is solely the social media stuff, which again, no notifications are on, you just leave to the side.
Yeah.
But then how do you because DMs and stuff might be important, how do you sift through that?
Yeah, just the time, just put the time in. Yeah, because that's when, to your question, because it's got such a quite a big number, that's where the business element comes. So like a lot of brands will then pay to get promoted on there, just for the exposure. Trainers trying to promote their programs or trying to get more customers, and then signed a partnership with Snapchat as well, which has helped in terms of taking it to
I was gonna say, how did that kind of come about? Did they approach you? Did you approach them? And what does that kind of like entail? Like, what kind of content are you putting on there that's different to what's on Instagram, or was it like the same content, and where are you going with that?
So they just literally reached out randomly, because they were like, okay, we love what you're doing, we see that you're trying to sort of uplift black people within fitness and sport. We'd love for you to be on the Discover. So Discover, if you don't know Snapchat, is basically everyone has it. So
like the random bits.
So it's just like different publications. Big celebrities have their own. So with that, it kind of works in terms of like how YouTube works. So like ad revenue. So the more people that are seeing your stuff, the more money you can sort of generate. In terms of the content, it's similar, but it's more like curated for Snapchat. Just even in terms of like the framing, the dimensions. It's more, I guess, similar to sort of like TikTok, but then with Snapchat it's longer form. So on average our videos are like 3 to 5 minutes on Snapchat.
Okay. And is it, so in terms of content, so would it be like, so I know I think I've seen some of them, it's like probably someone doing their workout, but would some of them also be kind of like storytelling?
So there'll be like day in the life, like what you're eating, the different workouts, and then some of them are like themed, like day in the life of a specific person, but then others will be like just different compilations of like.
How do you decide what goes on there?
Part of it is what's doing well on the Instagram page, people that kind of resonate, collaborations that I've done before. Because obviously through the page I've been able to network with a lot of different people, so they're very forthcoming in terms of, okay, we'd love to be on the page, so kind of collaborate that way.
And you know what's crazy? I'm just imagining like the amount of people that probably reach out to you to get their stuff reposted, because I know I've reached out as well to get my stuff reposted, because I remember Instagram's a little bit different now, but I remember like maybe a couple of years ago, like getting a repost from like your page, or like, it's mad the amount of followers that you just get, the engagement that you just get is crazy. So I just imagine like the amount of people that, you know, reach out for their content to get reposted. Like, what is that like on an average every day of people reaching out? And how do you even filter through, like, because there must be so many. There's
a lot. So I think on average it's over 100 tags per day. And I probably get 70, 80 DMs a day.
That is mad.
Of people, like some of it is business, like 3 or 4 would be like serious business inquiries, so you have to kind of filter through, you know what I mean. Others will just want to just be on the page,
be on the page.
So I think right now we're probably posting 3-4 times a day, and to be honest, sometimes it's just completely random, and I think like I like being in this position because for me it's literally always about the person and the content. So I never really look at to be honest, I don't even have the time to look at the following, at, you know what I mean, it's never those kind of vanity metrics, and that's why I like building a brand like that, because it's based on sort of merit, because we all know, you know what I mean, in society you might get, you know what I mean, I guess judged, or you're underappreciated or undervalued because of who you are, what you look like, you know what I mean, the way you come from. So it's one way, it's just like I've always thought, okay, if the content is good, I'll post it.
So you don't make any like personal content? Well, by personal I mean like so the content you put out is kind of reposted content?
It's a lot of it's user generated. Definitely plans to do more original content.
So that's what I meant. Like
especially like for Snapchat. And
that's what I was thinking for Snapchat.
Definitely.
What type of things are you like thinking about? Because you said you used to do like football and stuff like that. What's your activity like now? You still training, working out?
Still training. I think it's become a lifestyle thing, and you know how it goes. It's like it's as much mental as it is physical.
So do you ever like record your own stuff or things like that?
I don't really know. And I don't see myself as the person. You know what I mean? So that's what's like FitForTheCulture. It's a community thing to where I'm more like the director at the back. You know what I mean? And they're the stars. So. Yeah, but you know what I mean. On my personal page, I'll post a few things here and there just to show people how, like. I live what my brand stands for. You know what I mean?
So. No, I hear that. That's good.
Yeah. And then with Instagram, so it's kind of like it's established now. What's your like next kind of plans with it? So I know you want to do original content as well, but even with saying that, what has changed with, because obviously Instagram changed in terms of like engagement, in terms of, you know, trying to grow the page. Obviously the page is still growing, but have you seen a slowdown or like having to like do something else in order to match Instagram's new algorithm? Because I know everyone's kind of feeling it right now. The algorithm is different. Before, back in the day, you know, you post, people that you're following, people that are following you, they see your post, but now people are barely seeing your post. So how have you had to adjust in order to be able to still allow your page to grow? And obviously people that are getting their content reposted, and obviously the businesses, how are you kind of making sure that, you know, they're getting the most out of the page?
Yeah, it's a good question, because we know Instagram, definitely the organic reach is not great anymore. But I feel like because the brand is established already, so I think it's not more the numbers, more just the name and the reputation of Fit for the Culture, which still holds weight.
Yeah.
So I'm not too like upset that sort of things are slowed down, because to be honest, the page is not really growing in terms of followers like it was before. You know what I mean? Because as I said, like, took 6 months to get to 10K, but then from month 6 to month 18, it was like 10K followers per month. You know what I mean? So it's just growing ridiculously.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not that anymore, but I think because the name is a staple within sort of the culture, so it's one way it's just like still utilize that. And I think that's what people, especially the people who said doing like the promotion, that's what they're paying for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To have that sort of co-sign or that collaboration with Fit for the Culture. So I think especially Snapchat deal, TikTok, definitely gonna lean more into that, YouTube, but then also like offline. So that's sort of the big things. That's what I was actually in New York last week to discuss some things about like 2023 plans.
Can you tell us a little bit?
Like events, different,
like training stuff.
Maybe.
Is it going to be in the UK as well? Because that's what we needed in the UK. Because I feel like we don't, like, obviously we see in the States and in America and stuff, like them having all these fitness events, you know, amongst like in the black community. And I feel like we don't have that in the UK, and we're really lacking that. Obviously, it's something that, you know, I'm trying to do as well, trying to bring people together, but it's not, obviously it's not easy, but at the same time we need something. And I don't know what it is. We just, there just isn't anything.
I agree. You know what I mean?
So
the big one that I do know is like Noir Fit Fest. You know what I mean? Shout out to Lorraine. Like she's got that. And I went this year. I went last year. And I think that's really good. But as you said, we definitely need more of these things. Yeah. Especially for our community. Especially when you see that the fitness community doesn't really cater to us like that. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like they should. Because to me, I don't really like making it personal about race and that kind of stuff. But if you're not serving all areas of, you know what I mean, the world or the community, then that has to be addressed. Because I always tell to people, it's just like, if everything was inclusive and it wouldn't be a fit for the culture. They wouldn't need to be. But then also think that, okay, it's then on us to then serve our community. So that's what I was like, definitely there'll be plans to do UK events. But it's interesting because even the demographic of Fit for the Culture, 60% of the audience is actually in America.
That's like,
and I think only like 2% is in the UK.
2%?
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah. But I feel like that makes sense. Like only from the sense of where like I see American culture, especially around training and exercise, and it's all the way up there. Yeah. It's like I'm going to Houston in at the end of this year.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to be there for a short time, but I know full well, because I'm bringing my camera and kit with me, I can walk into any gym, meet anyone, make a video with anyone. I know I can. I haven't done it yet, but I know I can, and I'm not usually like that. Yeah. But if I come here, it's going to be a bit more of a challenging thing. I'm going to overthink it. I'm going to be around people that are going to make me feel like I shouldn't be doing something like that. And I feel like in America in particular, the energy for training, for gym, for fitness, for like community around it is so much bigger. And going back to what you were saying, it's like we need to bring that same energy and community back here with events and things, and just change the mindset of people. Because we have, in a way where we've got like so many people of like black people and whatnot are doing so many things in relation to actually, one, just going gym, and then two, being around and involved in fitness through exercise programs, clothes, pages. Like there's loads of pages that are out there as well. Some that are like to the same level of Fit for the Culture, some below, some above, and it's good. But there's so much more that needs to be done, consistently and just all year round.
Why do you think that mentality is there with the UK in terms of like collaboration and community?
Do you know what's weird? Because I remember when I started off here, similarly like 5 years ago, doing a PT and whatnot, and I'm stushing it. I know I am. It is what it is, isn't it? But I would want to like do collabs with people and stuff, and that was always the thing. Everyone was collab, and it was like, but I felt like you said about vanity metrics. Everyone's almost like, and you say it a lot. It's like no one wants to then support until the biggest person in the world is supporting the brand. Basically, it's like everyone's reposting Giggs' album every day, like he needs you to repost it, but you won't repost your boy that's making music beside you. You know what I mean? Similarly to podcasts and things like that. You know, people will now be. And nothing wrong with, and let me not say names, but you know what I mean? It's like people will post the next big podcast, but it's big enough. Not to say it doesn't need more, but it's big. It will do well with or without you, kind of thing. Help everybody else along the line. And that's all it is. I think certain people just want to be first, and let everyone else just full up behind them.
It's true.
I think what the other difference is, I guess so America's a much bigger country, and there's more black people, and 100%. I feel like even though the UK, people that are around us, maybe it was like all black, but at the same time we're only a very small percentage in the UK, and I think that kind of does that as well. But I think we just lack, and I don't even think it's just fitness, obviously fitness as well, but I think just in general, I think there just isn't a very good community vibe in the UK anyway. So I think that kind of plays a part. And then you have fitness, which comes again, which is another kind of small niche in a way within the black community. So I think that's what does it. And I think it just takes people to just do it and just put something in place and just
do you think like opportunity affects that? Because I would say just in terms of like even just from sort of different trainers or creators that I work with, it always seems like there's only one position that brand is given to a black person. You know what I mean? Whereas in America, they've got loads of brands. They're just more inclusive, just even in terms of like collaborating with black people in general. You know what I mean? So, so I think that mentality can then make you feel like, I need to be on my own to get that one opportunity. Whereas from my experience, I've seen that it's enough for everyone to win. You know what I mean?
There should be anyway.
Yeah, I think that definitely plays a part. And I think, I guess that kind of creates a little bit of I want to say kind of competition, because again, it's kind of like there's only one spot and only one person can get that. So everyone's kind of like, I do want to collaborate with this person because I want this to just be me. I want to be seen, kind of thing. So I guess maybe, that does play a part again. But again, that's why we need to come and show that there's opportunities for kind of everyone. There's not just one spot.
And create opportunities.
And it doesn't have to be, being able to get those opportunities in the, I'm going to say, it's not it's carrying our own opportunities and not having to like only work towards getting the opportunities from the white and bigger brands kind of thing. We need to be able to create our own. But I think with creating our own, people don't see as much value in it as well. So it's a lot of things.
There's a lot of different,
but I think it's just starting and just keep going. So again, with your Fit for the Culture, I think that's amazing. I think it just needs to be known more to the UK audience.
Even
and
when you're talking
more
about
stuff.
Even when you're talking about like when people have already made it, that's when people are supporting. Because I just think sometimes you gotta see the sort of vision, especially like when you feel like there's not a lot of opportunity with like the corporate big companies. So then when you think about like on the surface, okay, they're big and like they've got a reputation and notoriety, but then also when you then see companies up and coming, that company is going to turn into a big company. Because I always say that with like with whether it's YFit or Fit for the Culture at the beginning, I knew that it was going to get to this point. And I always admire the people that supported early, because it's like they can see that.
I can see the vision.
Whereas I feel like our people were very like, we just look at face value. This is not big, so why? You know what I mean? Like,
only when
you know what I mean? I won't even name names, but like I remember reaching out to influencers early on, saying like, let's collaborate, but they wanted to work with the big brands.
Of course.
Yeah.
And then, you know what I mean, 6 years later, now they're turning around saying, oh, now let's work.
Yeah, let's
because now they see the numbers.
But how do you behave around that? Do you take it to heart? Take it personally?
I'd say like, it's business, you know what I mean? There's definitely room to collaborate if it makes sense. But then, as I said, like, me, I want to work with people that align with what I mean, my values. So for me, if you're just looking at it, because you got big numbers,
now it's changed.
You know what I mean? Because you got big numbers now, I want to work with you. To be honest, that's not the type of person I want to be around or want to work with.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So that's how I sort of approach it. And yeah, I'm a bit petty as well. You know what I mean? Like, well, you didn't support. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do you think your pages are like your page, Fit for the Culture, is different to others? Like, I don't know if you remember, there was this page back in the day called, I don't know if it's still around, it's called Ebony Fit. Do you remember that?
No.
You remember that?
Yeah.
You remember that? Do you remember that? Ebony Fit was like, just basically, content-wise, basically.
Yeah.
If I say Americans again, you know, Americans will be training hoodie that's bigger than this.
Yeah.
But the short is like that. That's what Ebony Fit was, isn't it?
Yeah.
Basically, essentially, just like lots of content in that direction, basically. Obviously, yours is different from that, but you would have come across other pages probably before or around the same time, or even as you've been growing, but you kept to like a style or a standard of the way you wanted to do things. Like, where did that come from for you? Like, why did you go in that direction, basically?
I guess, as I said, like, community is the big thing for me. So you have to create that sort of depth and value for the audience. So fitness is another thing where it can come across as vain, and you just want to show this and show that. And to be honest, I don't align with that. So
you could always use like eye poppy things or viral type of stuff to get interest stuff. Yeah. But like, why haven't you, basically?
I don't see the value in it. You know what I mean? The numbers are numbers. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, especially as I said, like, especially going into 2023 and trying to actually like really build community and provide value and substance. To be honest, if you're just posting vanity things, when you then do events, you think those people are going to show up. Like, they're coming to your page because they want to just see who you're posting. Yeah. So like, you haven't really connected with the audience like that. So for me, it's just about always connecting and providing that value. So then when we do have events or we do have things or we are like selling products or anything like that, then they will support because they're like, okay, you've brought me value. You know what I mean? You've changed my lifestyle. You've helped me do this. Yeah. So I'll return that favor and support whatever you guys have going on. Yeah.
Yeah. So in saying that, to be honest, really competition doesn't really matter because obviously there's other fitness pages doing something similar. Does that affect you in any way? Not really, innit?
You stay in your lane.
It's just kind of like, just do your own thing.
Do what you need to do.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
To be honest, I actually think like there needs to be more because, as I said, like even from just the inception of Fit for the Culture, the amount of messages I was getting on the YFit DMs about people wanting opportunities, this and that. Like, because I haven't really got to where I want to get to yet. Sometimes I feel like, wow, like they're all coming to me and I just don't have enough to give all the opportunities that are out there. So it's just like, you need other people as well. So that's why it's just like, there's actually not a lot of people building the platforms or building the brands to support our community. Yeah. So that's why they will always feel like, they have to look outside. So
you know what I mean? It's like a funding thing. It's like, if they can't, you're big, but if you can't support it, and then they'll just be looking for the next best option, and then that sometimes ends up being a direction that, not to say that we don't want to go in, but you know what I mean. It's like, it's the brands that only started showing interest from 2020 due to the George Floyd situation. It's those brands that literally like around October time, Black History Month in the UK, all of a sudden, you know what I mean, your screens are filled with certain types of people. It changes.
And even just saying that, just going back to 2020 and lockdown, all of that stuff, Black Lives Matter, did anyone reach out to you, and any brands or companies reach out to you, maybe saying, you know, is there anyone you can suggest for us to work with? Like, what was that time like for you? What was different? Was anything different? Or was it just business as usual?
No, it's definitely a huge impact. Just both with YFit and Fit for the Culture, just in terms of like following, press. And to be honest, with my business hat on, you just utilize that. You know what I mean? But then obviously you understand sort of the metrics of why they're doing that. You know what I mean? So it's one where it's like you got to be cautious of who you're collaborating with. But for me, that was actually the period where I went full time with my businesses, because obviously, like, you don't just start a business, go full time, and you know what I mean. I had jobs. I've worked in the industry, sports industry specifically, different companies. So it was one where it's just like, okay, this has helped me get to like full time on the businesses, but also just in terms of sort of the types of collaborations, I was very picky in terms of who to collaborate with, because if they're coming just because it's just this time, then obviously the respect level is not really there. They're using you as a poster to sort of come across as quote unquote diverse, or you know what I mean. That's why, like, you know what I mean, even like October, I get invited to all these different things. Some I go to and some I don't. And for me, to be honest, a lot of the time it's more for the black people or the allies within the companies. Because
what do you mean by
that? Just in terms of like, I'll go off sort of the energy, okay, you work for a big company. I'm going more off your energy to help and utilize the resources of your company rather than the company itself. Because we all know at board level, these corporates, there's no diversity at all. So I never, like, I don't believe in the corporates. You know what I mean? But I believe in allies and black people who have the right agendas within those corporates. So that's how I sort of judge, okay, this is how I'm going to work. Because at the end of the day, it's people that make up the companies. So if these companies are reaching out, because I was on a program with Facebook, Meta, and it's only because of just who I was working with within that program that I was just like, do you know what? Although this has come, off the back of Black Lives Matter and COVID and that kind of stuff, I believe that you know what I mean, you're in the right place in terms of why you're trying to do this. You know what I mean?
That person means it.
Exactly. So that's how I kind of picked who to sort of work with.
Fair enough. And then just even going back to like I'm still thinking like the 2% following for the UK, for the Fit for the Culture page. How can you kind of, I don't know, I guess maybe increase that percentage in the UK?
How does that make you feel?
How would that?
As you said, in terms of the numbers, you know what I mean, we make up like 3% of the UK, and even within that, I remember seeing some figures. Don't quote me, but I just remember seeing in terms of like active black people in the UK is only like 20%. Yeah,
we were speaking about that with Follow.
It's very small. So even like you say 2%, the actual number of it is 7,000-8,000 people. So it's not a small number just because of the size of Fit for the Culture in general. So it's a big enough number to where. And obviously, I was born and raised here, to where we will plan to do events here as well. You know what I mean? So, because, America's like 60, then the next one's like South Africa, and it's free. You know what I mean? And then Brazil's
South
like
Africa's actually, that's like mine as well. I've got quite a few South Africans on my
there's a big fitness community in South Africa.
On my Instagram, and I was just like, that's so random.
The world's changing all over, to be fair. It's like interests are spreading all over the globe in different places. People are doing different things. With the Fit for the Culture platform, even with like the YFit, what has that like brought to you over the last 5 years in terms of like business, obviously revenue, like like links with other companies and things like that? What kind of things have you experienced out of the result of having such a high following page? I think like just first and foremost the ability to do it full time is a big blessing, but I also think just in terms of, for me personally, I say it's like been a journey of like self-discovery and self-awareness and understanding, okay, what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, what my mission is, you know what I mean, trying to, you know what I mean, empower people, inspire, just promoting health in general. So I think it's definitely, because I'm quite a, you know what I mean, withdrawn, laid back, introverted person. So the business has sort of humbled me, because when you then sort of see the progress, it makes you think, okay, like I need to be more vulnerable. I need to be just more out there, you know what I mean, do more things and actually like sort of tell the story, you know what I mean, sort of represent the brand the right way. So I think it's definitely like taking me out of my shell and like personal development. It's been but you're happy about that though, isn't it?
For sure, because like even public speaking before I wouldn't do it, you know what I mean. So now like speaking in schools and that kind of stuff and doing different interviews and, you know what I mean, being on different panels for like big companies and that kind of stuff. So I think it's just seeing like people sort of are motivated or inspired by the journey of what I'm building. You know what I mean? It's been a big blessing.
I was talking to like a girl earlier that spoke about being a motivation to people, in it, because she's a rugby player, and like she's on billboards, and people who recognize, people who know, they come up to her, they say things, people message her. Yeah. Obviously, in your case, again, it's more like a the people that know you know what you do, and anyone who's savvy enough to find out obviously might know too. But with that being said, do people ever walk up to you, message you, people that communicate with you, basically expressing how they feel about what you've done, basically? And like, how does that make you feel?
All the time, but it's the best part of the job. You know what I mean? Because that's the mission. Because even in terms of like, especially where it's like people that look like me or people that come from where I come from, because that's a big thing for me, and that's why I kind of realize, okay, like this is the mission, so I have to do this. Because the example I always give is like, you can't beat it if you can't see it. And I grew up, as I said, like wanting to.
Did she say that?
I don't remember.
I feel like she said
maybe something along those lines.
That's exactly what she said.
Yeah. Because what it is like, obviously, looking back, because as I said, it's been self-discovery. So looking back, growing up, I wanted to be a footballer, but I almost feel like that was just a popular thing to do. You know what I mean? Although I was talented, and you know what I mean, it was definitely still the foundation of my passion. It's not for everybody, and the statistics say that. You know what I mean? Especially as a professional, like it's literally 1% that make it. You know what I mean? So even like pre-COVID, having worked at a big sports agency and hearing the stories of like some of the biggest athletes that I was working with, thinking that definitely wasn't me at 12 years old. I was here playing computer games. You know what I mean? Only training when we had training.
Literally.
But then, sort of my journey of then into entrepreneurship, I realized, okay, this is what I can be the best at. You know what I mean? So I think that's where it's just like the self-discovery, to where, because I didn't see anyone doing this, I didn't see it as an option. You know what I mean? So that's why I always say like the quote of, I grew up wanting to be like Michael Jordan, but I'm actually more like Phil Knight, who's the founder of Nike. You know what I mean? But it's one where, because he don't look like me, or I didn't hear his story, or he doesn't come from where I come from, I didn't see that as, okay, that could be the career path for me. You know what I mean? But obviously everyone knows Michael Jordan, and we could see him on TV. And you know what I mean, not realize that definitely not Michael Jordan, you know what I mean, but that's why it's just like, you be confident, but you also be self-aware, like what are you actually good at, what's the sort of foundations of your passion.
You got to really know yourself.
100%.
You got to know yourself, especially like, it's a weird one because it's hard, like especially when you're growing up, because you can be like 10 different people until you realize like who you are and what you're about. But like, how would you then say within business to learn about yourself as a person and as a businessman, basically? Because I feel like, so my exact answer would be like, you only really learn a lot through failure and whatnot, but other people would stress that, you don't want to fail too much, as in you don't want to have all your lessons based on things that you got wrong, basically. Somehow you want to be able to get stuff right at the same time. So in your process, like, how would you kind of get an understanding of yourself and be confident in making decisions first time, or whatever it might be, as you've gone through business over these years?
I think it's definitely learning through the experience. And as you said, like you fail, but you don't want to sort of quote unquote die. You know what I mean? So I think it's a balance. So obviously the experience will teach you certain things, but I just feel like in the day and age that we are now, we have the technology, we have the resources. You can learn. Like, I didn't study, fashion or sportswear, but I always felt like I was my customer because I played sport. You know what I mean? So I knew how I wanted the stuff to like feeling fit, but I just needed to go and just do the research of learning how the technical sportswear is made. You know what I mean? So that's an example to where, okay, like sometimes it's a DNA thing, and you just understand, okay, these are my strengths. This is what I'm good at. Let me dumb down on those. And then the weaknesses, I can collaborate with other people. And then also just use whatever resources that we have. Google, books, you know what I mean?
Fair.
And even in that going full time, so you said you're going full time, how did you kind of come to that decision, or what, not having to like say the numbers, but at what kind of point, or were you making a certain amount and you thought, you know what, this is good enough for me to go full time? Or was it not even about, because some people just decide to go full time on their business with regardless of the amount that they were making monthly or however often. So what was that for you? What was the deciding factor for you?
I guess I had no choice at that time, because it's interesting because I've actually been full time twice, and the first time was a mistake. I just went too early. But I always say, like, especially in my process.
You mean full-time on the business?
Yeah.
Cool.
Especially in my process, I always say, like, within entrepreneurship, you either have time or money. So when I didn't have the money, I put the time in.
Yeah.
And then when I needed the money, I went and got a job.
Yeah.
But then you're then not having the time to do work on the business. You know what I mean? So I've been at both stages, and definitely the first time, which I didn't even know how, but it's one where it's just like I went full time on YFit for like 2 years, and it was definitely a mistake, but I was able to build the foundations of the brand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And really understand, okay, like, what is my value proposition? What do I really want to sort of offer the world through this sportswear? And just even in terms of like perfecting the products. So then when I then did go back and get a job, I'd put that time in and the foundation was there, because with me it's been all self-funded. So it's one where it's just like, okay, you run out of money, go get a job. But it's always been one where the jobs I've had have always been based around my passions anyway, or strategic in terms of, like I said, worked at a sports agency pre-COVID. So it's almost just like, okay, I'm networking, able to learn how brand deals are done at the highest level. So even within that, I'm learning and I can take things and apply that into my business. You know what I mean? So then,
follows up in the right direction.
So then obviously COVID hit, and then Black Lives Matter happened, and then all of a sudden all the press and all that. So it's like the brand, I would have, even though, and it's interesting because part of my role at my previous job was to like go into stadiums, watch games, that kind of stuff. So that kind of eliminated my role anyway. So as well as like with the growth of the business, as well as the position of my job before, I had to go full time anyway. You know what I mean? So it just kind of made sense, both financially, but then also just, I guess, where I was in life and I guess what the brand needed from me. So, because I always say to people, like, the hardest part is when you have a job and you're trying to do your brand. Because for me, to then take it full time, you have to be putting full time hours into it, minimum. You know what I mean? So if you've got a job, that's just, you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot to do. So I also understand that process of having the role, but then trying to build your business, which is very difficult. But I also feel like the job you pick is a big indicator of like where you're trying to go, especially if you're trying to take your business full time. Like, I would say just get a part-time job, or just get a job that maybe not as demanding. You know what I mean? Or you don't enjoy as much, but you're then able to then fuel and fund your business. You know what I mean? So and
then in saying that, so like people that are kind of thinking about going full time or not knowing to go full time, what would you say? Because obviously we have to look at the financial aspects of it as well, because you don't want to go full time and then, you know, you're not able to pay your bills and stuff. So how would you say people need to kind of look at that? You know, what percentage do they need to kind of be making in order to be able to go full time without, you know, missing out on trying to, you know, pay their bills, or just trying to figure out what is the right point? Obviously it's different for everyone else, but from you doing it, if you could just give us some advice on like how to balance this, because obviously we all know you need that time, you want to get that full time to invest in your business, but again, you still want to be able to either pay your bills or even have, because sometimes people have jobs in order to actually fund their business as well. So how do you kind of weigh up all of those options and then come to that conclusion? Like, what things you need to like check off and be like, okay, this is the right time? Obviously it's always going to be a risk, but what are the things that they actually need to
I would say definitely like having savings, but always the big indicator, especially for me, was like when your business is making around how much you get paid at your job is always a big indicator, because if you then imagine, okay, if I then went full time, what could I make? You know what I mean? So that's a big indicator. But then always I'll say savings, and then in business something called runway. So let's just say you weigh up, okay, all my bills, all the things that I'm responsible for, note that all down. If I was to quit my job today and make no money from my business, how long would I be able to last? You know what I mean? So once you weigh that up, if you can get to 6 months, a year, 18 months, then I'd say, okay, you're in actually a decent position.
That's actually a decent position.
That's actually a decent position to then go full time. Because I always say to people, like, within your business, it's a timing thing, because sometimes you have to take that leap of faith, and there's always going to be risk. But then, to be honest, there's always jobs around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If it goes wrong, you can always go
depends
like
on the
that.
level, but at the same time,
Get something. You can get something.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
You can get anything. So even if, okay, you don't make the money you need to, but you've had that runway, but you've put the time into the business, like I did, you just go and get a job again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not the end of all.
Yeah, it's not the end. But within certain things, especially with business, sometimes you have to take that leap in that time. You know what I mean? Because even I remember like Black Lives Matter and COVID, people tried to start businesses then. Then I was just like, yeah, it's cool. Definitely try and capitalize off of that. But I feel like YFit had a step ahead and Fit for the Culture had a step ahead because I'd already established a brand. So then when people were like, very conscious of how they're spending their money, and they're like, we need sportswear. So I'd already put 5-6 years into it. So they were like, okay.
From that,
the
one that just started.
The one that just started, you know what I mean? So that's why I always tell people, if you got an idea, just start straight away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where do you think you're going now with both businesses? Are you going to make any more social media pages with similar or different like values sets? How you escalate in the YFit business now and things like that?
It's just about expansion. So next year, definitely get a team like on both sides. With Fit for the Culture, just more in terms of like around content, around just the storytelling element.
But you won't make any like any extra pages?
Nah. That's the foundation for sure. But I guess it'll be a case of more collaborations with other platforms.
Okay.
Potentially other companies as well. Good. So that's sort of the direction.
I like that. That's nice.
No, that's sick. I'm excited for the Snapchat series. Like I can't wait to see
what 2023 plans you lot
have. No, I'm sick because I do watch some of the Snapchat stuff. Like I watched this one called I think it's called Crown Ladies. It's kind of just like hair stuff and like black beauty and stuff. And then there's one fitness one which is Raki. Oh, what's her name? She's American and she just talks about her life. Like she's normally like training and stuff, but she just talks about her life, how she lost weight, how she gained weight, just like a story. So yeah, it would be good to have a platform where you can see different people talking about their fitness journeys, sports journeys, and stuff like that. So yeah, that's sick. I can't wait to see more of that and everything else that you've got for the culture. And hopefully we get more stuff in the UK and more collaborations. That's what we need because obviously that's why I wanted to get you on. Like obviously we have similar business. You've got your sportswear brand, I've got mine. But I think the Fit for the Culture is where we can kind of come together and be able to create something and be able to create that community and, you know, getting people involved in the UK because I think that's just what we need. And as we will say, there's always room for
100%.
There's room for everyone.
100%. And I love what you're doing as well. You know what I mean? Like,
so.
I love what you're doing, like your position as well, because I think it's important, just diversity across the, you know what I mean? As a black woman, doing the fitness wear, I think that's a big lane that you can own and dominate in that sense, you know what I mean? So there's definitely room for all of us, as you said, to like even just collaborate, because as I said, we need more brands, you know what I mean? That's why it's like for me there's no competition. It's just like we need more people because there's not a lot of
we need more people with that same mentality.
Exactly.
Because we can have more brands, but we need a happy group focus that's willing to promote and build everyone up to the same level as them and help everyone pass through the same directions.
To be honest, like that mentality is only going to be the few, and that's just the way life is. You know what I mean? But I think the few can make enough noise to then the masses will then, because
to do the same thing.
That's how other brands are built. You know what I mean? We will start from scratch. So I think it's just about having those core people in your circle at the beginning that will ride or die, and then build from there.
No, that's it. That makes sense.
Well done.
That's great. Thank you for coming on. It's been amazing. I'm happy. Can't wait to see what you've got in store for us for 2023. But yeah, thank you for coming on. Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thanks guys. You've been tuned into the DAMIHOW podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.